Welcome back to the Weekly Download.
We're your hosts,
Elena Bergenstock.
and Claire Watrous, and today we're here with
Hank Tayloe.
to talk about him coaching the Special Olympics. Can you just tell us a little bit about what the Special Olympics are?
Yeah, the Special Olympics it's an opportunity for people of all ages with developmental disabilities or other kinds of disabilities to participate in athletic competitions. And there's a ton of different events. Like, I do swimming, obviously. I'm probably going to help out with softball this summer, too. Yeah, my brother does cornhole. There's like basketball, a bunch of different things.
Who runs it?
It's like a statewide organization. There's a Indiana chapter, and there's in every state, and it's like a nationwide thing. It's really cool.
Okay, cool.
So what first inspired you to become a coach for the Special Olympics?
My brother Gus competes in the Special Olympics. He does swimming and cornhole, and he's on the unified track team, which is technically separate, but like the same type of thing. And I'm on the swim team at North, so I know like a little bit about swimming, and so I thought it would be fun to try to help out.
So can you walk us through what you do as a coach?
Yeah. So we practice once a week at the South Pool. I do things like riding workouts or just like giving the athletes tips and helping them out whenever they need it.
So when you're riding workouts, what do you try and think of?
I try to keep them at a level that everyone is ready for, but also able to be adjusted because we have a lot of different ability levels in the Special Olympics.
What first got you involved specifically with swimming?
Well, I swam a little bit before middle school, just like swim lessons and learning how to swim competitively. And then I joined the middle school team, and I really, really liked it. And I like the team culture and all my teammates and the coaches, and it's just a really awesome sport, in my opinion.
Can you walk us through what a typical practice looks like?
Yeah, so we start around 6 o'clock every Monday. We do like warm-ups on the dry land, stretching and stuff before we get in the pool. And then after we get in the pool, we do a little bit of swimming to warm up. And then we'll usually do like drills to help improve technique swimming. And then after that, we'll do some practice racing, like maybe a relay or time trials or stuff like that.
So how do you try and adapt your coaching style for different people?
I think listening to the athletes and what they have to say and what they think is really important because everyone's different and everyone responds to things in different ways. Yeah. If they're have a more experience with swimming, I can maybe be a little bit tougher. But if they're really new, I'm gonna, walk them through it and yeah.
What's the most rewarding part of coaching?
We only have around 2 meets a season. That last meet is down in where is that? Terre Haute, and a bunch of that's when all the Special Olympics events and competitions are, and it's really rewarding seeing the people I've worked with all season swim their hardest and do their best and win sometimes.
What does a typical meet look like?
So the main one is down at Rose Holman in Terre Haute. Do you know where that is? They let us use their pool, which is a really nice facility. The whole team waits in the indoor track area, and then we go through the events one by one. And I'm usually at the pool watching them swim and getting them ready to go. And then after they do their event, there's an award ceremony for every race.
What's the hardest stroke to teach and why?
I mean, it's different for everyone, but in my opinion, a lot of people struggle with breaststroke because it's really precise and you can't just like brute force your way through it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of technique, and it feels faster to go slow, and it feels slower to go fast when you're doing it.
What's your favorite stroke to swim?
Oh, myself, I always swim freestyle. Yeah, every meet. The 200 freestyle specifically, that's the one I'm doing.
How do you help athletes stay focused during longer practices?
That's a really good question. Our practices are about 2 hours long, which is a pretty long time to be doing one thing for. We help them stay focused by, well, obviously being supportive, saying like good job and stuff, but we can have fun too. We play games like sharks and minnows or stuff like that, and take breaks a lot.
What does the atmosphere look like at a swim meet?
It's very competitive. Yeah, everyone's trying to do their best and swim their fastest, but everyone on your team is really supportive of you, and yeah, your coaches are always there cheering you on. I'm cheering on the Special Olympics athletes always, and yeah.
So, as a coach, what do you try and bring to the atmosphere?
I think staying positive is a really important thing in all aspects of life, but especially in a competitive environment like that, it can get kind of like, I don't know, if you're not doing too well, you can kind of get in your own head and yeah, get down.
How do you prepare your athletes for competition day?
That's another really good question. Yeah, we have since we only really have one super big meet in a season, a lot of them get really nervous, obviously. I always try and emphasize the fact that doing your best is all that matters and trying to do better than you last did.
What's your favorite memory from a Special Olympics season?
So the night, because all the competitions take place on Saturday and Sunday morning. The Friday night, everyone goes down and there's like an opening ceremony thing where they have like a DJ and there's a big like party pretty much with a bunch of food, and all the athletes are there, and that's always really fun. And seeing all of them have so much fun is really like, I don't know, it makes me happy.
If somebody watched just one practice, what would you think that they would take away from it?
Probably that we like to have a lot of fun. Yeah, we play games for like we play a lot of games during practice, and I don't know, we're always goofing around and having a good time, but we get some good work in there too. Yeah.
How do you help athletes if they get in their own head and get nervous about things?
Yeah, a specific example, there's this one athlete that was really, really nervous about diving in the pool, you know, going off the block. That's a scary thing. I get scared about doing that too, but so I just sat down there with him. I was like, tried to comfort him, and I said, you're never going to regret trying something new, but you might regret not doing it at all. And I think that that resonated with him, and he went off. He did really good, yeah, in his event.
Can you talk a little bit about why you think programs like the Special Olympics are so important?
Yeah, another really good question. The Special Olympics are really important to me and I think all the people that are involved in them, because a lot of people with disabilities obviously don't get the same opportunities as people without. And it's important that they can still lead a fulfilling, enriched life with all of these activities and have support from different people and can meet a bunch of different people and make friends and stuff.
What do you wish more people understood about the Special Olympics?
It can get really competitive. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Last year, there was this guy at the main meet we have. He was wearing a tech suit, which, if you don't know, is a kind of really like expensive and advanced swimsuit that a lot of top racers wear. And he was really, really good. Like, he swam, what was it, the 50 butterfly, and he went faster than I can do it. Faster than I think most people I know can do it.
How can people get involved or support the program?
I think a lot of people around North are aware of the Polar Plunge. It's a fundraiser that I think the Student Athletic Board has a big part in. And all the money from that goes to Special Olympics. And yeah, I think that's the main fundraiser for it in Indiana, at least.
What's something that you've changed your mind about or learned more about since you've started coaching?
Earlier, I said a lot of people aren't aware about how high level it can really get. I wasn't aware when I first started either. I was pretty surprised when I saw that happen. And yeah, I think that goes to show how much there is to learn about everything.
How do you build trust with your swimmers, especially early on?
That's another really good question. Yeah, a lot of swimmers, a lot of athletes in the Special Olympics can be really nervous and have a hard time putting themselves out there, trying their hardest in a practice. It's important to be very supportive of them and like cheer them on when they're doing well. But it's I think just as important to like correct them or try to help them when they're like not doing something great, because I think that lets them know that they are getting better and that they're going to improve.
So how do you balance pushing athletes while also keeping practices and meets fun?
I think that's probably the trickiest part about coaching. Sometimes I kind of push them too hard, or sometimes we're not working hard enough and we're just kind of goofing around. But I think it's important to ask my other coaches that do swimming. I haven't mentioned them yet. Technically, I'm the assistant coach. The head coach is really experienced with this type of thing, and just always asking her and getting advice on that kind of thing is really important.
How have your athletes influenced the way that you see competitions or meets?
Even in my own swim meets, I think I have realized that the most important thing is improving myself and being better. And my athletes have really showed me that, because even if they don't do too well compared to like the other people they're racing against, if I show them their time and they've improved, then that's something they celebrate and they're really happy about always. And that's changed my mindset even, I think.
How do you make sure that every athlete feels seen and valued?
I think one-on-one coaching, one-on-one advice for swimming especially is really, really important, and making sure they feel seen. And yeah, sometimes we'll take them to like the diving well or another part of the pool and help them work on a specific part of their stroke or something like that.
How do you create a strong team bond among the swimmers?
We encourage the other swimmers to always cheer on their teammates whenever they're racing, and we always try to get in one practice relay during a practice, and that really builds teamwork and cheering them on, because if your teammates do well, then you're going to do well as well.
What leadership do you try to encourage among your athletes?
I and the other coaches try to obviously encourage the athletes to be supportive of their teammates, but also to like help them out and give them tips on swimming if they notice something, or if they're if they're struggling with like a drill or something we're doing in practice, then sometimes a teammate will jump in and show them how to do it.
How do athletes support each other during meets?
I think even just being there to watch the other person's race can really help them and make them feel better about swimming. And we always try to be the loudest group cheering on during the races.
What has coaching taught you?
It's given me a lot of insight into the different kinds of lives people have and how everyone is different and has different abilities, but is still like a really valuable, incredible, interesting person. And I don't think I would have that level of perspective if I didn't participate in Special Olympics.
Can you talk a little bit about the community that comes with Special Olympics?
That's a bit of a tricky question because, especially in Bloomington, the program we have is just so large and there's so many different sports and people I haven't met and like volunteers and athletes. I think everyone is very supportive and very passionate about the Special Olympics, and I think it's a really great, interesting program, and I encourage people to get involved somehow.
What goes into planning a season from start to finish?
A lot of the planning responsibilities go to the head coach, Caitlin. She's really awesome. But we try to think about making sure every practice is like different and interesting while still like keeping around the same structure so the athletes know what to expect. And especially as we near the meets, we start focusing more on practicing like racing and getting time trials in and like practicing turns and starts and finishes and that kind of stuff.
So how do you keep practices engaging for your athletes?
I said before, we play a lot of games during practice and try to have a lot of fun. Sometimes they can feel a little samey because we do a lot of the same like drills or stuff. And while it's important to practice the same stuff to get good at it, changing up like the order or how we practice that can help.
What has been your proudest moment as a coach?
My proudest moment as a coach was probably when the person I work most closely with on swimming, that's my brother, he won his heat in the 50 butterfly last summer, I think. And he was really, really excited and happy with how he did. And that made me, I don't know, it felt really good.
How has coaching changed you as a person?
I said before, it's really expanded my view of the world and different people, but I think it's also taught me like leadership and planning skills that are really important.
Can you talk a little bit about the life skills that your swimmers gain from being on the team?
I think work ethic is a huge one that they gain, and also I've definitely gained from being on a swim team myself. And obviously having this kind of team culture together where everyone's really supportive of each other is something that they benefit from and I benefit from being on a swim team.
What advice would you give to someone considering coaching?
That's a good question. I would tell them to make sure that they really love the sport or whatever they're coaching, they're thinking about coaching, because I think it's important for the coach to love it in order for the athletes to love it as well.
What does improvement look like for you and your athletes?
Well, the obvious thing is everyone's really happy when they see they got a better time or something, but it can even be something like staying more focused in practice or being able to get through a practice and it feels easier than it was before. I think there's a lot more ways to improve than just getting a better time.
How do returning athletes influence new swimmers?
We have a lot of returning athletes that are very experienced. They've been doing Special Olympics for a long, long time, and they're always trying to help out the new swimmers and jump in and see what they can do. Like just last practice, one of the swimmers that's been around for the longest let a brand new person borrow some of their like gear. I think goggles and a swim cap.
What do you think keeps athletes motivated to keep coming back year after year?
I think working really hard at something and having your work pay off after a long time is obviously a really rewarding experience. And a lot of the athletes really love that feeling. But also meeting new people on the team and seeing the people that you've grown so close with on the team.
What keeps you motivated to keep coming back and coaching?
Well, I have a lot of fun when I'm doing it. I think it's a really great experience for me. And also all the experience and perspective I've gained from doing this makes me want to come back and see if I can learn more.
What is something your athletes have taught you?
So much, honestly. It's hard to like put into words, but I don't think I would be the same person I am today if I haven't had this experience. I've realized, and this might sound kind of dumb, but everyone has like their own life and their own experiences and their own like aspirations and goals. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that every person you meet has a lot to them. And I think it's helped me maybe not like judge new people I've met so fast.
What is one story about your team that you think everybody should hear?
So last year at the big meet we have down in Terre Haute, it started raining really, really hard while some of the athletes were waiting to get on the bus. And that's obviously not a fun experience to be in, but they like stuck with each other and tried to stay positive. And I don't know, I think going through hard times with the people on your team can create a really strong bond between people.
What are some traditions or routines that your team has?
I don't know if I've been a part of this for long enough to really recognize the traditions. This will be my third year as a coach, and the season's just started now. Some routines we get into is always warming up before we get in the pool, always talking as a team after the practice, stuff like that.
What are you most looking forward to this season?
That's a really tricky question. I look forward to every practice because we don't have them super often. We do them once a week on Mondays. But I always look forward to the practice when it's Monday, and I'm looking forward to the end of the season when I get to see how much everyone's improved.
What legacy do you hope to leave as a coach?
I hope that the athletes remember me as a supportive person, supportive figure in their life, and I hope that they had fun while doing Special Olympics. I think that's the most important thing, having fun.
Where do you see coaching taking you in the future?
I think coaching has taught me a lot of important leadership skills, and I can see those taking me to a position in the future, maybe even like a career where I would be in a leadership role and having people come to me and helping them out. I really, really encourage everyone to get involved in Special Olympics or a program like that somehow. I think it's a pretty easy way you can have a really large impact on someone's life in a positive way.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us and spreading awareness about this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening.
Come back next week to hear all about Ella Green's photography.